In League of Legends, there come rare moments where one player's singular talent transcends what is usually a team game. There comes a time when one superstar player performs so incredibly well that they make top-level play look like a solo queue stomp. There comes a time when a professional turns into a legend. These legendary players aren't the best that a region has to offer, they're the best that the world has to offer. They aren't the rulers of the meta, they are the shapers of it. These are not the kings of the game, they are the gods. They are the best of all time. League of Legends is less than a decade old, so we haven't seen many of these talents. We haven't had enough time to have a Michael Jordan and a LeBron James. In League, there's only Faker. No other player quite shaped their lane like Faker. No other player could make worlds over and over like Faker, and no other player has sparked fear in his enemy like Faker. At least until 2018. In Worlds 2018, the game received its second solo lane legend, the top laner to end all top laners. The culmination of a long lineage of carries, the living, breathing limit test to all the things top lane could ever do, an embodiment of the solo kill in lane, the spearhead of the teamfight, and the pressure that emanates from the long, isolated lane furthest removed from the center of the game. TheShy would go on to become one of the most dominant solo laners in the history of the game. His Jace would become synonymous with the word carry, and he would embarrass the very best players from other regions. But only after fighting to unseat a former world champion, overcoming a nearly career-ending injury, and learning how to win when it matters most. But why do we hold TheShy in such high esteem? He's not the first top lane carry to do well at Worlds, nor is he the first top laner to shut down his opponents consistently. Flame was so famous for his lane dominance that he got the 100 CS lead named after him, the Flame Horizon. For starters, TheShy is a complete player. He has all the skills needed to compete at the highest level, whether it's mechanics and raw ability, or matchup knowledge and game sense, or an absolutely insane champion pool.
You know, when they're making these little different tier lists of picks that you're aiming for early, you make a normal tier list and then you make 4 when you're facing TheShy.
But all of these things are the components of a great player, not a godly one. These are the components of a player like Impact, Wonder, and Smeb. It takes more to enter the pantheon of League. If you truly want to know what sets TheShy apart, you have to look back in time. All the way back to the start. Before TheShy held up the Summoner's Cup, before he even debuted as a pro player in 2017, TheShy was a streamer. At the incredibly young age of 16, the legendary Chinese organization World Elite recruited TheShy as a substitute top laner and streamer. Like most players in his position, he was more the streamer than the substitute and never actually played on stage for World Elite. But he wasn't just any kind of streamer, he was a Riven specialist, mostly a one-trick with a few pocket picks like Nidalee to round out his game. In other words, he was a complete and total solo queue star, the kind of player that montages were made of, and the kind of player you'd expect to absolutely flop in pro play, or at least not smash the competition. But if you looked closely at his streaming days, you could see that he was more than another ladder climber. You could see it in the very first thing he became known for, the Shy combo. TheShy played Riven so much that he pushed the Riven meta forward by popularizing a unique sequence. The Shy combo is straightforward, but it is difficult. You E forward and activate Riven's ultimate, and very quickly after activating the ult, you flash onto the enemy, then use W to stun. At this point, you click the ground to cancel the W animation, then you auto-attack, Tiamat, Wind Slash, and Q in quick succession, to the point where the Q and the Wind Slash are double cast. This deep, intricate combo revealed the early character of TheShy. This combo is far from bread and butter. Honestly, it's an unnecessarily hard way for Riven to dump physical damage onto the enemy carry. What makes it special is that it's an unorthodox play that subverts expectations. It's so unpredictable that it breaks the limits of Riven's normal engage patterns and opens up a new strategic depth for the character. The Shy combo is like an ambush. It's pretty common for good Rivens to ER, then flash on opponents. It's much less common for a Riven to E then R and flash practically midway through the animation. It's much more unexpected and unorthodox. In that way, it's much more likely to succeed, especially against higher level players who already know of the original combo. If you see a combo or an engage coming, you watch out for it. You keep your eyes peeled for Riven to flash and immediately match her flash with your own. If you don't see the combo coming, you aren't ready to flash, and if your reactions aren't insanely on point, then you die. That's the premise of the Shy combo and why it's useful. And the Shy combo is the premise behind this legendary top laner's talent. It's a different way of calculating the game where the goal is to read the opponent, then pick the unorthodox option they aren't prepared to handle. But before we get more into TheShy's style, let's cover TheShy's history. About 3 years after TheShy popularized this combo, and a few years into streaming, he was finally old enough to compete. Fitting to his playstyle, he chose an unorthodox but savvy way to start out. Rather than go to a weak team that would let him start, he joined Invictus Gaming, one of China's oldest and most established organizations. At the time, IG had just picked up Duke from SKT. Duke was a world champion top laner and a direct competitor to TheShy. They played a similar carry style and similar carry champions. That meant TheShy had almost zero chance of starting right away. But TheShy had actually made a smart decision. He'd chosen a reliable organization full of top-level players who shared his aggressive unorthodox style, including Rookie, one of the best mids in the world.
DEFCON 5, everybody, because Duke has been subbed out. And it's TheShy coming in. I have no idea who this guy is, but I do know he plays a lot of Lucian, Quinn, and apparently he used to be a Riven player.
And on June 16th, 2017, his decision would pay off. He'd play with the main lineup in the second game against a red-hot EDG, and he'd lose, brutally. Scout and Clearlove destroyed Rookie and Ning in the battle from mid-pressure, and then chain-ganked TheShy into oblivion. Even as TheShy got totally stomped, you could see the seeds of what made him great. You can see how he reads what his opponents want to do, and he's actually ready for it. You could see him push his limits and go for unexpected, high-risk plays. In this dive, TheShy knew he'd die no matter what. Rather than retreat, he moved forward and dropped as much damage on Clearlove as he could. He didn't get the return kill, but he forced Clearlove to flash. If he went for the expected play and retreated, he would have gotten nothing from the enemy. The only other smart choice would have been to not flash at all. And as time went on, TheShy would make the starting lineup more often and get much better. Beating Snake Esports, putting Duke on the bench, beating Suning Gaming, and coming in for a clutch Game 5 to help IG beat his former team to get third place in the 2017 summer playoffs. Unfortunately, third place was not enough to qualify for Worlds. IG would have to go through the regional gauntlet, where World Elite would be waiting for a chance at revenge. At this point, TheShy was nearing his apex. He'd gone from a mostly unknown Riven streamer to one of the LPL's respected solo lane carries.
Yeah, and how much respect they pay to TheShy, because he's very much commanding of it lately.
The series came down to a Game 5. After taking bans to his champion pool the entire series, TheShy locked in one of his ultimate comfort picks, Fiora, his debut champion in the LPL. With him on Fiora and Rookie on Syndra, the solo lanes looked poised to take over the game. But they didn't. TheShy and the entirety of Invictus Gaming had grown a lot, but not yet enough to defeat the LPL's best teams and make it to Worlds. To make matters worse, the loss to WE and an earlier Game 5 loss against EDG branded IG as chokers. In 2018, their reputation for choking would only get worse, as they lost close set after close set despite being the better team on paper.
Invictus Gaming want to shrug off one name: chokers.
TheShy in particular had a strange and quietly unfortunate 2018. By spring 2018, he had unlocked his full potential and was playing at a level few other top laners could ever reach. Invictus Gaming went 18-1 in the spring 2018 regular season. Their one loss was to Royal Never Give Up, with Duke in the starting lineup instead of TheShy. IG weren't just dominating the LPL either, they were embodying it. They carried the hyper-aggressive and high-risk style of the LPL to its absolute limit. Ning, Rookie, and TheShy became an indomitable trio. 3 aggressive players who followed each other fearlessly. And now, they had an aggressive, world-class bottom lane in the form of Jackie Love and Baolan. TheShy had finally arrived. In just 1 year, he'd changed from the streamer who plays Riven to that player who benched a world champion. Then, just as TheShy reached a new zenith, disaster struck. He had to undergo arm surgery, right as his team achieved the single most dominant regular season run in the history of the LPL. Duke would sub in for the playoffs. Without their star top lane threat, they fell to RNG in the semis, and then to Rogue Warriors in the third place match. They went 18-1 in the regular season, but they didn't win a single best of 5 in the playoffs. To make matters worse, TheShy's injury wasn't fully healed either. The team had to split time between him and Duke. Despite TheShy's injury, IG managed to repeat history and go 18-1 for the second season in a row. While it was great news for IG, it was dangerous for TheShy. By summer playoffs, it wasn't clear if he was the best top laner on IG, let alone in the world. But TheShy would have his chance to remind everyone of his prowess in the summer playoffs. He subbed in for Duke on Game 3 against JD Gaming. This time, TheShy wasn't the clear king of top lane. JDG's top laner Zoom was one of the best in the region. He had TheShy beat in solo kills, kill participation, damage share, and CS differential at 15 minutes. TheShy was no longer the young usurper. He was the old king, returning to take back his kingdom, and over 3 games, he'd reclaim the throne. However, IG had a greater challenge ahead, RNG. The LPL Grand Finals would not be a battle of top laners, but a battle of styles. IG represented the reckless, solo lane-led team that lived and died off of the dive. RNG represented the teamfight and macro-driven squad that built an entire empire off of the ultimate ADC, Uzi. And IG would fall short, again. To the wider audience, it looked like a choke. IG threw a commanding lead not once, but twice. However, this was the other side of IG's relentless aggression. A patient, coordinated team like RNG could wait for IG to overextend and then win the late game. RNG had exposed the fatal flaw IG had and still has to this day, that tendency to push the advantage one step too far, that tendency to lose focus on the big stage. Fast forward to the end of group stage in Worlds 2018, and things looked even worse for IG. They lost their group stage tiebreaker against Fnatic and would have to face KT Rolster because of it. KT Rolster was the single Korean team that had read the meta well and avoided a massive downturn. They were one of the few favorites to win the entire tournament. IG entered as the underdog. TheShy had a tall task of his own: take down Smeb. Smeb entered the tournament the 6th highest player. TheShy was all the way down at 14. At that time, the story of IG was all rookie, but TheShy would prove again that he is not one to live in the shadows, even if it were the shadows of his own teammates. He wins games 1 and 2 easily, and Flame Horizons Smeb in game 3. After narrowly losing game 3 in a split push scenario, TheShy had an 11, 4, and 21 KDA across 3 games. And this is while playing against Smeb. Even more impressively, this is after forcing KT to ban 5 solo laners in all 3 games. In game 4, IG subbed in Duke, and the effect was immediate. KT knew they didn't need to respect Duke like they did TheShy. For the first time in the series, they got to ban a jungler and a support. They steamroll IG in game 4, and Smeb finally gets to have a CS lead and scoreline. It looks like another IG choke. In game 5, TheShy returns to close out the series. He plays his sloppiest game yet, overextending in lane and throwing his life away. But he pressures Smeb throughout the game, draws KT to his lane, and sets the rest of his team up for victory. Even on an off day, while playing a tank and getting camped, TheShy is still more lethal than most top laners. And with KT out of the way, there was nothing to stop IG's solo lane lethality. IG 6-0's Europe's 2 best teams. They 3-0 Fnatic, Europe's #1 seed, and the team that beat them twice in groups. They beat them so fast that it becomes the fastest grand finals in World's history. There's no point in pretending that this was anything but a slaughter. But the slaughter was what made TheShy's name circulate into the wider world. The 2 brutal victories made everyone understand just why so many analysts loved this player, and quickly made him the patron saint of top lane. In the process, 2 big myths developed around TheShy and his playstyle. The first was that he was cocky. When TheShy predicted a 3-0 in the grand finals, people saw it as trash talk, another brash young talent adding to the hype. But TheShy wasn't being cocky, he was actually just being honest. In his interviews for 2019 Worlds, where IG was in a much tougher spot, TheShy actually speaks much more humbly. Sometimes, TheShy's play alone makes him seem cocky. The way he positions so far forward, as though the enemy jungler doesn't exist. The way he'll ult through the enemy base to start a fight, and the way he flashes into the enemy when ganked. Many people see TheShy as a player who thinks he can mechanically outplay anybody. But that's not how TheShy sees himself. If you see him only as fast button presses and forward movement, you're missing his true strength. The strength behind the TheShy combo, the unorthodox intelligence. People say I'm a mechanical player, TheShy said in an interview with ESPN, but I feel because I already have the idea planned out, I'm more of a theory player. I have it all crafted out in my mind. If you watch TheShy's legendary Jace game against G2 and really watch it closely, you can see what exactly he means. Watch how TheShy responds when he gets ganked during Jace's hyper-vulnerable early levels. TheShy is very far up in the lane, but as he sees Jankos coming, he also sees Ning near the Baron pit, so he plans to buy time and do damage. He goes into the bush so Gragas loses sight and can't reliably hit him with the knockup. Then he knocks Gragas away to prevent him from body slamming. He waits for Jankos to actually cast body slam, then he flashes towards the enemy tower and back into Fog of War. This is the unorthodox thinking that powers TheShy's outplays. He knows Jankos and Wunder expect him to fall back, and if he flashes back, Wonder will spot him, then flash in, CC him, and kill him. Taken off guard, Wonder tries to hit the bush with his Q, but TheShy knows that Wonder will do that. He jumps in with Jace's gap closer and drops Wonder to a quarter health. TheShy dies, but crucially, he's set Ning up to continue the play. Wonder and Jankos both have to flash to avoid dying to Ning. They're both so low that even though TheShy dies, he can TP back to take over the lane again. Since TheShy regains control, Jankos has to stay nearby, which leads to Ning getting a surprise kill. Sure, TheShy dies, but in the process he blows 2 flashes and a teleport, sets Jankos way behind, and puts Wonder in a bad spot. A few minutes later, TheShy breaks open the lane with an even more cunning play. Here, he sees Wonder use 2 Q procs to clear the wave. Then, as soon as Wonder hits the last Q, he drops the acceleration gate and uses the Shock Blast as a surprise, close-range burst option. Wonder has no cooldowns and no way to defend himself. TheShy knows Wonder is dead as soon as the Shock Blast lands. All that's left is to hunt him down. At first glance, both these plays appear mechanical. They seem reactionary, but we know from TheShy's own words that they aren't. They're predictive and calculated. TheShy is reading his opponents and throwing them scenarios that they don't expect. It's more than mechanics, it's strategy. TheShy visualizes these kinds of plays everywhere and in every game. He jukes so well because he knows what skill shot the enemy wants to land. He reverses ganks so well because he knows where the enemy thinks he'll go, and he makes such deep engages because he knows the enemy won't prepare for them. In that fateful Game 2 against G2, all these things cascade into one of the most brutal leads in League history. TheShy does over 7.5 times the damage that Wonder does.
Oh my god, 26,000 damage to
He's almost
3K.
done more damage than the whole enemy team!
And he was only about 3,000 damage short from outdamaging all of G2 by himself. He accomplishes a presence and pressure most solo queue top laners can only dream of, and he does it in a pro game. He becomes a patron saint of the lane and one of the gods of the game. The craziest thing of all is that's not the end of TheShy's story. TheShy would have a pretty rocky 2019. IG would lose to Team Liquid at MSI in one of League's biggest upsets ever. Even worse, IG would go out in 8th place in the LPL Summer Split playoffs. Still, TheShy, Rookie, and all of IG would crawl back into 2019 by winning the gauntlet. At Worlds, they did surprisingly well considering their downturn. They got revenge on Team Liquid by knocking them out of groups and beat Griffin 3-1 in the quarterfinals. They fell short against FunPlus Phoenix, who went on to win the tournament. In 2020, history repeated itself in a bad way for IG. They came back with a new bot lane and a new coach, and they topped the LPL in the regular season. TheShy himself is in 2018 form and has more MVPs than any other top laner in the LPL, as well as other awards like Best on the Rift. But they lost 3-1 to Top Esports and their former AD carry Jackie Love in the LPL semifinals. Still, TheShy comes out looking mostly fine. His style is as unorthodox and punishing, and he's still pushing the meta with picks like Kalista top. It's a quintessential TheShy pick, combining lane dominance, raw split push power, objective control, and unpredictability. Kalista's rend makes her damage hard to calculate, and her mobility makes her hard to predict. It's even made it to North America, where Licorice and Cloud9 used it to beat 100 Thieves. Of course, shaping the meta and destroying the LPL regular season isn't enough for TheShy. What he really wants is to cement himself as the next god of the game, the next Faker. In that same ESPN interview, he said, "I want to follow Faker in that way, so I'll win more world championships. And if I win 3 worlds, I can say I'm one of the best players ever." When you hear that talk from most players, you just don't believe it. But when you hear it from TheShy, it's different. He's just a different breed of player. A Riven streamer who benched a world champion, a carry top with a ruthless sense of cunning, a solo laner who can step out of Rookie's shadow and embarrass the world's best players. When you hear it from TheShy, you almost have to believe it.